Well, we did not have the greatest day ever, and I'll go over all of the stuff and why I say that. And I would say, for a day where I would consider myself kind of breaking, if not breaking, then bending my rules. At least our bad day where we broke our rules in a way. And I'll kind of go over what I did and what I want to move away from and what I don't really like, and kind of where my headspace was at. But at least I didn't break some of the more important rules, which was, how much I was willing to risk. Um, and yeah, mainly just that, how much I was willing to risk, I did well on. So I want to focus on that, the positive there. And I would say I'm done for the day. I'm 99% done for the day. But if we did pull back to this 15-minute, right, and start getting break a structure to the downside, maybe I look to target this low. Probably just done for the day. This is a very big move, almost 400 points from the high of day. Yeah, 380. So I'm probably not too interested in anything. But I do kind of want to see how we react in this area. But again, I'm probably done for the day. So first off, how I took um, 5 entries, but I would say 2 trades. And what I mean by that is, one, I took this long here off before market open, and I'll show all the replays or all the recordings. I got in on this inverse fair value gap right here because I have a lot of conviction in the data highs being taken, right? So this would have been a very, very good trade. And my mouse died, so I'm moving a little bit slower on my computer. So I'm using my laptop's um, thingy touchpad, and it's just really slow. But I could have very well just got into this trade, 2 micros or 3 micros. I got in with two, and just let it play out. But because it was pre-market, this is where I kind of made my first mistake. I went to break even at this high, and as you see, I should have not got stopped out, but I trailed it like 1 or 2 points in profit. So we get stopped on this candle, and literally bottom take does and goes up, right? But it was our mistake. I have to own up to the mistake, which was moving my stop to break even when I could have just held my stop for 24 points. Would have been risking around $100 on the 2 micros, and I was been rewarded with around 260, 270, and that could have been day done. But instead, we decided to make a decision to move our stop to break even. So in my head, I counted that as a no trade when I should count that as my first trade, and I should be done for the day since I messed up the execution. But I decided to kind of just brush it off, and more importantly, not just the fact that I decided to look for more trades because that's not the end of the world, right? The market hadn't opened yet. I don't even think I really should be done for the day there. I should just manage it better. But I knew going into the trade that since it was pre-market, I didn't want to get too zoomed in on just this irrelevant inverse fair value gap at 846, right? Just in the middle of nowhere during time, and also just pre-market, right? So I just recognized that and went into the trade expecting to try and go to break even here, but probably shouldn't have acted on it and probably should just let it play out, especially when we get no drawdown. We barely even have a ticket drawdown on that if I just held. But that's not really where I'm upset with how I managed it. I'm more upset with the fact that after this played out perfectly, right, and had no real resistance, I was very, very emotional in the sense of I didn't chase anything, I didn't do anything crazy, but I was emotional in the sense of very frustrated that I didn't get that $260, right? And I'll pull up the trade execution while I talk about what I was frustrated about. Um, I was frustrated that I didn't get to benefit from this trade. So here we go. So I was frustrated, right? I get into the trade, and this is a good trade. This is a trade I have conviction. Again, it was just the time of day that just kind of scared me. See, I got in here, good fill. Not even risking 200. I'm risking 109 because I had smaller size. Our take profit would have been 240, $264. We get into the trade. So this is when I go to break even. And this right here, we would never got stopped, $5. But I was like, let me just move it another tick or 2 ticks. And that was enough to get stopped out. So I wanted to just see it run from here, right? But looking back, I could just really allow my stop to be underneath this inverse and just let it play out, right? We have a fair value gap right here that we could have filled. We were going to make a fair value gap, and this is just too much micromanaging. Again, this is a mistake that just should not happen, but it did. And then more importantly than the mistake or the trade, right? It's more important to figure out the things after the trade, right? Oh, sorry. Because regardless of the fact that I took this trade, and regardless of the outcome of any trade, it's how your brain is reacting after the fact. How are you handling the loss or the win or the break even? How are you handling these different emotions, right? Because after getting stopped here, I was pretty frustrated. I was really frustrated with that stop out. And then, right after that, when I saw this and I was waiting for market opened around here, right? After seeing this play out, and I knew I could have been done for the day or could have had a great day, my emotions after the fact were frustration, anger, FOMO, right? All these bad emotions, so that when market opened, right, I wanted to see the data low then become a target, right, if we fail to displace higher. And I wanted to see kind of how we would react in these areas, right? So we get this first 5-minute candle comes down here and inverses this fair value gap here. We actually change state delivery on the 5-minute. We break structure on the 5-minute. So I'm like, okay, this actually is decent for shorts, right? Because right here, we even come up here. This was on the 5-minute candle. We tap this fair value gap. And then right for this 5-minute close, we get a big sell-off, boom, and we close here. So we were wicking really strong, right? This was a 5-minute imbalance here, and we were wicking really strong at this current moment. Then the final candle comes in, closes very bearish. Fair value gap gets in here, boom, we come up, retrade into the fair value gap, right? Dig into this order block, and we dig in, and we don't go past the 50%. And let me see if my mouse is somewhat charged for this because it's so hard to do. There we go. So we dig into the 50% here of this order block, and notice how we respect the 50% level. The bodies respect it. So this was all a good sign, but my first trade was this 30-second fair value gap right here. And this is my first mistake. This is a losing trade, and I'll go over why. So I waited for the 30-second to get tapped into, and I had my stop above this high here. And I was trading 2 micros, and I was targeting lower. So this would have been a $400 trade. And I'll pull up the execution there, and I'll keep going over why I got into it. So why we got into this trade was wanted to see data low. We pulled back into this imbalance after inversing the 5-minute, right? We displaced lower. I wanted to see us trade back up into this. I also like that we had disrespected the new day opening gap. I wanted to see new day opening gap be respected now as resistance. So I put my limit order, and this is not an inverse fair value gap model, but I had conviction in the shorts. So I wanted to see us get filled, and I was risking 160, which is good risk, right? That's exactly what I want to do. But something about this move up here, and when the 30-second closed, I got really nervous in the trade, and I shut the trade out. It did not hit my stop loss. It would have probably hit that stop loss there. But I closed the trade out because I didn't like how this inversed, and I didn't like I just didn't like that. I wanted to see this reject, and I wanted to see price be efficient because in most cases when you catch this type of trade, most situations, this 30-second, I'm going to get rid of this. Most situations, right, when price is running effectively, like this price run was effective to this high, I normally want to see this not even get closed inside. I want to see us wick in here and reject. So when this closed above, I kind of panicked out, right? Again, not even hindsight, but like hindsight, yes, I could have held my stop here and it would have worked. But in the moment, I understand why I made the decision. Maybe I shouldn't have closed the trade, but I did not like this reaction whatsoever, because if price is efficient, right, we should reject here and displace lower. So we just didn't get that. And then my second entry on this idea, so my third trade of the day after one loss, was this inverse fair value gap right here. I end up inversing this fair value gap, right? We get a close below, and I'm like, okay, so I'll pull up the execution now, and I'll kind of talk through that as well. So we get the inverse, and I'm like, okay, I still want to see the data low. At least now I have an inverse fair value gap. That's more of my entry model. And we get a shallow close there, a decent close, and I'm risking 61. So I'm only risking 160 bucks, and I was gonna make $398 or $390, so 400 bucks, which would wipe this, and it would make us 300 on the day, or about 270 on the day, which would have been very, very nice. And maybe there would have been a potential add if the trade started running. So this first candle was already scary, comes up, and then we then finally start going lower. We break structure to the downside, and at this moment in time, I'm very, very happy being in this trade. I really like this run. I want to see it close below this wick. I'm like, okay, cool. If we get a close below this wick, I trail my stop to this high, and I'm like, okay, this is good. Everything about this is good. I want to see price continue to go lower from here and just run effectively, right? I was like, maybe put in a 1 minute fair value gap here, and then we displace lower. Everything about this was good. At the time, ES had a big SMT that was kind of throwing me off. I'll pull that up here. At the time, ES had this SMT. We were lower here. We just taken it out. So that's the SMT. And yeah, so we were in the trade still. And this is where I kind of messed up here. Or not messed up, but I wanted to see us go at least to this limit, right? Because that would put us at, well, I'll go over that in a second. But anyways, we have this 1 minute fair value gap that I mark out, and then we end up inversing it, right? But then I knew we had this order block. We also had the inverse. So I liked where my stop was at. I'm only risking 117 at this point, which is good risk. But we inverse this 1 minute here, and that kind of scared me. But then we get a nice reaction off of it. So I'm like, okay, price just being a little slow. I was waiting for the macro to open. And we're just chopping. It's just, I hate this price run. Then I'm like, okay, cool. If we take this low out, or before that, I was like, okay, I want to see us run down and take this buy limit, and I'll get out of one position to cover my loss from the previous trade and then go to break even, right? And then let my runner run. And I was completely fine with that. But then another thing that made me more emotional was the fact that we do run through this level, and I go break even, and I didn't want to see us come back up to this high. We'd run through this level and leave my limit order pretty much by a tick. This would have guaranteed put me up on the day, or positive on the day, and then I would have been happy being at break even. And it never filled us. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to panic too much. I do not like this 15-second immediate wick here on the 30-second, but I'm like, okay, this fair value gap should hold us. Don't want to panic, but that really frustrated me. And then I had my stop at break even, but I'm still down on the first trade, and I did not want to see us come back to break even. We hold this fair value gap and then get a very strong reaction out of it to the upside after swinging through this low. We have an SMT with ES, so a lot of things were scaring me here. And then price runs up here, and then I just close the position. I believe I closed the position, in about 10 seconds. It closes like this, and I'm like, you know what? It's going to hit me, so I just take it out. Which, if we look, if we go on the charts, actually, if we look on the charts, this area was on the 30-second, right? Was right here. My stop was above this high here. We would have technically never been stopped out. Price would have come back down lower. Price would have come back up, right? It was just so sloppy, but we would have never been stopped out. So second time in a row, we decided to stop ourselves out prematurely. So that was frustrating, but I've made a small profit there. And then we get in another trade on the same idea because I was very confident in the draw being lower. So we end up seeing this 30-second, I believe, a 30-second fair value gap. That was like, cool. If this thing gets ran, we're probably going to go. And it does run it, but then I'm like, okay, let me get in on this 30-second fair value gap tap here. So we get in. I'm risking 160. I would have made 363. And I was like, okay, cool. We're in a price run. It was starting to run down. Since I was already negative on the day, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to lose on this trade. I need to make some profit back. I scaled one. I'm still down 25. We were running nice and effectively. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get another one off here. So now I'm up 42 bucks on the day, and I bring my stop down so I couldn't lose. And then I was like, okay, cool. This is good. I managed it kind of poorly, right? Taking all the profits. But I was thinking about just closing it here, kind of ending the day. But I was like, why would I close it, right? We're so close to taking this low out. Let me just let it play out. And, of course, we get an immediate just massive candle up, slow price action, and then just get stopped out. And then my last trade of the day, which is the one I definitely should not have taken. These last two were definitely very hit or miss on the setups that I was taking, a little bit just bad overall. And I'll go over what my final thoughts. But the last trade, I get in on this inverse here, this 30-second, just trying to run the low, take it with 4 micros, risking 200, which is the risk I want to allow, but I really shouldn't be losing 200 here if it does just run up, right? I've been seeing price being very choppy, very slow. This is a bad fill anyways. Selling one here is dumb. Like, everything about this was just emotional, and I'll go over that. And this was just nightmare price action, if I'm being honest. It would have worked again. I would not have been stopped out. I would not have been stopped out. Even if I left it risking here, I could have left it the risk 150 on this candle wick. I was risking now 158. Again, losing 158 there would not be worth it. But I was just like, this was just nightmare price action. I wanted to go break even. It comes up, so I move it back up. Just nightmare stuff here on the 15-second. I then move my one here because I'm like, if I can just get one off and mitigate risk, like, and get one and only be trading 3 contracts, I don't really want to be in 4 anymore. And then when it runs through, I was like, okay, I'm just going to move my stop to break even. Like, I want to see a follow through. Again, all stuff that I know isn't really good trading, but it was just a frustrating day, and I'll reflect more on it whenever after this video. So it runs through. And it misses me again. It was just like, this was just a nightmare. Like, I did not want to see this on the 15-second. This is just really scary price action, in my opinion. We come through, and then we get stopped out at break even. So that is how we got $60 or $78 on the day. So overall, my executions were absolutely horrible. Just really bad executions today. But that being said, why I need to reflect on and learn from kind of, you know, why we had certain thoughts and certain ideas, and what could have gone better for us, right? So I actually do want to see us come into that area here, but where could it have gone better today? First of all, the idea wasn't bad, right? The idea was not bad in terms of the data low being a target. And the first entry here, when we get a retap, isn't the worst. It is not the end of the world, but I do think that it's just me being too emotional, right? And it stems from the fact that when I missed this trade here, or I got in, I got stuff to break even, it runs perfectly. The rest of the day, I'm thinking about how I should have already made all this money and how I should have made this or whatever, so that when it does come back into it, give me an opportunity, I waste it, right? And I get in and I emotionally trade and I move my stop loss and all these different things that I know I shouldn't be doing, but it's just, I just didn't manage it well, right? And that's really the reflection for today, is just not really managing my position well. I'm kind of frustrated because I would say this today I did break my rules. I did not trade well. So I'm going to just restart the counter of good days, right, in terms of following my plan, right? So it's back down to 0 in terms of the streak of just not breaking any rules. And that's fine, because today, even though we did break a lot of rules, we never just completely revenged bigger size. But, you know, we kind of just allowed ourselves too much freedom. So it is progress, but, you know, we still made the mistake. So I do want to see this now get inversed here. And the reason for that is because on the 15-minute, we have swept out these lows, so I would be hesitant, and ES is a lot lower. But this does look like we took out the high, we displaced lower, we're pulling back to the inefficiency, right? So if we're pulling back here to 50%, I would like to see us come up higher maybe. But we even have this standard deviation projection that lines up perfectly, right, with sell side liquidity. I don't know if I'll take a trade to it, maybe paper trade it, or observe it. Either way. But just I'm very frustrated with myself today because I've been doing better. Like you guys have been seeing, I've been doing better, but And today wasn't the worst. It was not the end of the world. It wasn't the worst things I could have done, but it definitely could have gone better, and I definitely could have been a lot more emotionless, right? But, if you look at this 1 minute, this is just really unfortunately slow price action that really is hard to get out of without having just a lot of chop. So I don't really mind how things went in there. It's just a little bit frustrating of a trading session, but yeah. So now I'm just looking to see kind of what happens in this 15 minute and see the 2 minute. But yeah, just disappointed with how I traded today. It really could have gone better. So yeah, I don't really have much to say. I'll let you guys know in the comment section. I'll pin my comment if I do take a trade. How many trades, right? I'll tell you guys whatever happens after this video, because I'm, again, 90% sure I'm done. But if something looks great, something looks great. I don't want to just not take an opportunity if it looks good, right? Because I want to see this turtle soup this high and then inverse this 2 minute, right? But I'm not going to force anything. We've had a big move. It's 11 already. But yeah, I mean, I just, again, it's not the worst day ever on a bad day, but it is frustrating because it could have been really good. We could have just taken this trade. We could have just, taken this trade, had a great day, gone on with our day, and been done. Or we could have had just one of the shorts and just let it play out, not get super micromanagement with my stop loss. So I think that's the biggest takeaway for today is just to not be super, just not micromanage every single position and just kind of let things breathe and let them work out. But the reason why I think I wasn't able to do that, and some days I do, is because today I was emotional and I want to recognize the emotion that I had from missing the first trade. That emotion is something that regardless I have to deal with as a trader, is when you do miss something, it cannot affect other decisions. And today I think it just affected other decisions throughout my day, which I need to be more, I did recognize, and I knew I was emotional after missing it. Like, I'm not sitting here crying, but like there's no outward reaction, but there's a mental and just psychological, dang, I really should have got that. Like, I'm really upset. And that's just like in my mind. I'm upset. I should have more. And then that reflects into my trading the rest of the day, which is why I probably will just not trade if I get a setup here, because although I've had time to reflect and calm down, it is just like, today just should have been better, right? And I know I can do better here. So if we get something here, let's see how many points this is. 50 points. Right? Maybe. Oh, gosh. I actually do like this. I actually do like this trade. But I'll end the video. I'll let you guys know what happens. My account is at 51,160. If we take a trade, I'll let you guys know where the balance is. I'll pin in the comments. This would be the only thing I'm looking to take, right? Would be a short down to the new week opening gap high and the low of one of the days here. The low of the 9th, which was 2 days ago, so the low of Monday, would be what I'm looking to target. So I will let you guys know what I do, but this would be a while if I kept it going, and who knows if it even shows up. So I appreciate everyone that watched the video. We're about to hit 1,700 subscribers, which is really cool. Appreciate all you guys. Again, not the end of the world. A lot to learn from, right? It's not the end of the journey. It's not the end of anything, right? It's not the end of the world. Right, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have 0 mistake days, but limiting them, which is what we're doing, is good. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we have a better day. Actually, well, I will make a video tomorrow, but I might not be able to trade because I think I have an appointment to get something on my skin checked out, which is annoying because it's at 9:50. So literally the best macro of the day. So hopefully I get that moved. If not, I might miss the sub of the day, and we might have more FOMO tomorrow. So regardless, hopefully we can kill the rest this week, but I'll see you guys